Today on episode 6 of the Sean and Bo Show, following Crampgate, LeBron returns victorious, leading all scorers in Game 2, yet everybody in the world still hates him.
And I'm waiting on a check from EA Sports, plus I have an update on Michael Sam's journey into the NFL.
And there was no Triple Crown, but following some dumb remarks by an owner, everybody seems to care about horse racing this week. Oh goody, just what I wanted to talk about. It's the Sean and Bo Show.
Yee!
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the Sean and Bo Show, episode number 6, live from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm Sean O'Donnell, along with my co-host, Bo Greer. And, Bo, I understand you've been checking your mailbox looking for a check lately.
Oh, yeah, man. It's real great to be here. I'm just excited we're doing episode 6, first of all. I think it's amazing we're here, 6 episodes strong, and plan one day to be talking about episode 600. But
and let me say, the show might sound a little bit different today. We had some technical difficulties. For some reason, a shitty pop station I used to work for was coming through our equipment.
Conspiracy.
I think they're trying to undermine this, Bo. I think
yes,
that's
they
what's
are.
happening.
That's what it is. We're blowing up.
So it might sound a little bit different today. We'll get it taken care of by next week. But as you might have heard in previous episodes, Bo did play Division I football for the University of New Mexico, and one of the perks is he wound up in a video game.
Yeah, it was one of the cool things about being a college athlete, and it's one of those deals where you're not really expecting it because not everybody necessarily just gets on the game. Just because you're on the roster, it does not secure your spot on the video game. I don't know how they do the selection process. I imagine it's pretty easy because all that information's on the internet. You just pull a roster and they probably upload it and they're done with it in 2 days. But either way, I was one of the lucky guys on the roster. I made the team, and it was really the first time I seen it in 2006. I was a senior, and it's always kind of the rosters are a year behind the way it kind of works out. And I was listed on there as a starter for the first time. The year before, I believe I was a backup on the game. And it would have been cool if, you just saw an avatar out there, that had your skin color and he's wearing your number. But no, they got your height, weight, your hometown, and, sometimes with the guys that have certain things like dreadlocks or they have an afro, you will see that on the game too. And you're just thinking to yourself, wow, they do a lot of work on this. There's a lot of detail.
I can't wait to track down this game, dude. I'm going to be rushing that quarterback. I'm going to be spinning by Bo Greer so fast. My moves are sick.
Good
son.
luck, buddy. Good luck. You can do whatever you want. Bring it on all day. My avatar is still in great shape. That's the thing. He's not eating like I do and drinking beer all day. That guy's still working hard. He's still trying to win the Mountain West Conference championship.
It's like a time machine.
Man, it's one of those things, though, where when it all happened, you're thinking to yourself, like, well, it's pretty cool. But then you get a little bit older, you become an adult, and you realize that everything you do in your life, someone has to render you some sort of payment, or they have to provide you with a meal, lodging. There's usually something in exchange for your services, right?
Yeah.
So I'm on the internet. Actually, this goes back about 6 months for me. And I'm just looking through the Huffington Post, CNN, whatever, being bored. And I see where Sam Keller of ASU, Arizona State, he was a quarterback, and Ed O'Donnell, you might remember him more notably, UCLA National Championship Final Four. They put together a class action lawsuit. Now, myself, I never received anything about this. I would have been happy to get on board, but the CEO with EA Sports apparently settled out of court last week. It's upwards of $40 million. You're talking about a game between the basketball and football. They lead the sales lists for these companies like Sony and Xbox. There was like 4 or 5 years in a row, Sean, where NCAA college football was the number one selling game, period. And you're thinking to yourself, I was in a crappy TV series on Stars. They had to pay me. I was in an independent movie with a local producer from Santa Fe, New Mexico. She had to pay me. I was a part of a video game that sold over 3 million copies and is still listed on Amazon for $15 a copy. You tell me I can't see $100? Give me something. I'm waiting for this check, EA Sports.
What's weird is like about class action lawsuits. sometimes you'll get those notices in the mail like, have you purchased Pop-Tarts in the last 2 years? You might be entitled to $6. But usually they're looking for people to join the suit. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that they didn't contact you, but
Well, and I was reaching out to multiple guys. I actually got a hold of Anthony Carter. I believe he was on 06 with me. He currently works for the Bernalillo County court system, and I got a hold of him during the day while he's on a lunch break. He pulls the story up. Next thing he knows, he's like, "Hey, let me know what the attorney tells you," because I'm telling you, this stuff is going to spread like wildfire. And I remember with the most notably recently was the BP oil spill and how they were talking about these funds will be set aside, yet people won't access them. They talk about how with class action lawsuits and then when these funds are put out there will be a percentage of the money that will be there 5 years from now. And nobody would have touched it. And you'll hear about these stories of people who are like, well, I wish I could have built my business back. So, knowing that recently, that being in the news and then seeing this story, I'm looking at the video game sitting there in my little case where I keep all my Xbox stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm on that game. I should be entitled to some money. So here we go.
At least a new Xbox, something.
Now, last week, if you listen to last week's show, I've now joined the ranks of Mr. Dan Marino. I'm going to throw my name in the ring so I can get my piece of the pie.
That was weird, by the way. Like the day after we talked about that last week, he dropped out of the suit. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't realize I was suing the NFL. Darn lawyers.
Yeah. It's real funny because in this process here, I'm just a lonely merchandiser for a local distributor here in Albuquerque. I don't have a legal team. I do not have a group of people that I just call on my bat phone and tell them I have trouble and they come running to my aid. So I had to do a little homework and find out that, all state bar associations provide legal aid service. So I put my name out there and they called me back. And it was actually such a niche case. These guys are so used to handling, domestic violence, DUIs. They're like, Mr. Greer, give us a couple days. We're going to contact somebody and get back to you. So, it's funny you say that about these lawyers. I'm going to start to experience that because when I was talking to the gentleman on the phone and I'm trying to explain to him why I'm interested in this, he wasn't quite getting it, you know. But then I said, there's a class action lawsuit upwards of $40 million.
Cha-ching.
And
All of a sudden, he's
gosh.
a lot more interested.
Okay, Mr. Greer. Now, what's your address again? Let me make sure I have your number. Will you repeat that for me? Oh, my gosh. You would have thought that my last name was Obama talking to that dude on the phone, the way I was getting service.
Now, speaking of student athletes, Bo, I know you got a fantastic education from the University of New Mexico, but there was a young man in the not really that young anymore. He's pretty much our age.
My age.
But he went on to talk about the tremendous education he received as a student athlete. Now, Bo, what was all this about? He wasn't showing up for class, or
Mr. Rashad McCants, if you don't know, get your Google out, people. Bing him, do whatever you do. He was on the 04-05 national championship team for University of North Carolina, second leading scorer, played with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I believe he's somewhere in South America now, playing for a team whose name, if I tried to pronounce, I would sound really, really country right now, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But Rashad McCants comes forth on an Outside the Lines report. It was last week, I believe, and he says that along with Roy Williams' aide, some academic advisors, and a few assistant coaches within the University of North Carolina program, they steered him towards classes that they would help him pass. Basically, there's a paper that was supposed to be leaked. I don't know where you can, it's like Deadspin or something. I'm still trying to find it. It's supposed to be on the internet, I was told. It's about Rosa Parks. It's for an African-American studies class. So I really can't comment on this, but the people who have seen it say that at the beginning, it's one of the most comical things you've ever seen. But at the end, you're
Just
like,
sad.
wait a minute.
Just sad.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
This is just sad. This is the state of affairs in America. So it upset me. If you don't know a lot about me, I did finish with my degree. I'm not a 4.0. I struggled. I was one of those guys in high school where when things got too tough, I could go to the teacher and go to the tutor. That was me in school, people. I battled my way through. I was told as a senior in high school that I was unlike the rest of the kids. Whenever a teacher would give a lecture or they would give notes, I would not have to write them once. I would have to go home, write them again, record them on a tape, and then regurgitate it to myself for like the fourth time that day. And then I would start to remember it. So having to do that in the time that I put in with the great tutors at the University of New Mexico, Garden City, and Princeton, Indiana, and if you are out there listening, you know who you are. You helped me along the way. It was hard work, but I was the first person in my family to get a bachelor's degree. That meant something to me. I understood that getting that scholarship and being able, they afforded the chance to play college football was more than just getting to go to the parties and do crazy things on the weekend. It was about representing my community and my parents, getting that degree. And hey, I'm from the George Bush School. C's get degrees, people. Hey, if you can be president of the United States with C's, I can be a distributor. I can be a beer distributor in America.
So what doesn't make sense about this to me is why did this dude come out and expose what was happening? I mean, like, he was obviously benefiting from it at the time. You didn't hear him squawking to the media back when he was a college athlete. So now after, he's no longer playing professional basketball, correct? Or at least
he's not in America.
At least not to the capacity that most of us describe professional as. So is it a cash grab? I mean, you'd think the way to get cash out of a situation like that is probably involving a blackmail and not going through the media. So I don't understand.
Only thing that I could put my finger on is maybe he spent a lot of money. He was with the Timberwolves, I believe, in 2009.
But how does this get
last
him money?
year.
Just for the story itself?
These guys, man, I have a personal friend, played for the Ravens, blew a lot of money. They will borrow money down to the last $10,000 because at one time they had $1 million and everybody thinks they can get it back. So, if they can find somebody that'll give them $10,000, they'll take $10,000. If it's $5,000, it's $5,000. They can make one more Mercedes payment and they can stay in the mansion or keep the villa for one more month, And I'm thinking that maybe is what's going on. I don't know the inside of this story, but that's the only way he can possibly benefit, because if he has to come back to the United States now and get a job and basketball's over with and his money's spent, the degree that he supposedly has, we all know is a sham.
Right.
So if you're a company out there and this guy comes through, which his name is in everything to do with UNC and outside the lines right now, so I don't know how you can miss it. An HR department is probably going to be like, oh, Rashad McCants said he played basketball at University of North Carolina. Oh, my gosh. Here comes all of the stories about how he was able to – one of the stories says he didn't even have to go to the class. Actually had the professor of the class doing the homework. So this is what kills me. You're the professor of the class, right? Couldn't you just say that he did the homework? No, you're so afraid of Roy Williams, you're sitting up at night making fake term papers and filling out the A, B, and C box on the test for him, just in case the investigation comes out, you want to make sure you have a paper trail of all the real hard work. So I don't know what his angle is, man. I don't know if he's one of those guys that's just desperate for some attention, or maybe he hates Roy Williams. That happens a lot.
That could be.
A lot of guys hate their coaches, man. He could just be like, this could be the vendetta. Like, oh, Roy Williams is great. Oh, I'll show you, Roy boy. Oh, by the way, if this does blow him up, I do have an autographed Roy Williams basketball. So this could be awesome. We never know what could happen with that.
Stack that up with your EA Sports money.
There we go, man.
Places. This could bite him in the ass. He won't be able to get a job at Enterprise now because this just totally taints his collegiate. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Speaking of guys that went broke, here's a heartwarming Disney tale coming your way, Bo. Lenny Dykstra. They're making a movie, and it's going to bring back the director of The Blind Side, John Lee Hancock, along with the producer of that fine movie that I know you love, Bo. And this is going to be interesting. Now, if you don't know, Lenny Dykstra, great baseball player. He's always kind of known for his real big energy on the field. He always have like a dirty jersey, just gave it his all. It was kind of like almost in the same vein as a Pete Rose or something like that. Mm-hmm. But off the field, he did have some problems when he did retire. Those included, in 2012, he was sentenced to 6 months in prison for fraud. He was investigated for grand theft. He was accused of sexual assault by a housekeeper and also, I believe, a minor that worked for his car wash company. And he, of course, declared bankruptcy in 2009 after racking up $31 million in debt. There's some stories there for sure.
Lenny Dykstra is the just number one example of sometimes why it pays to be the scumbag. We see it in our society. There are so many people willing to play the role. And just last week, what did I tell you? I went and sat in the grass in Albuquerque, New Mexico to watch Josh Hamilton take a few batting practice swings in a AAA game. I mean, that guy hasn't really been a model citizen, but he plays the role. And now you got Lenny Dykstra, who's going to cash in again. Hopefully he doesn't blow all this money on car washes in Southern California when we know water is very expensive in the desert. But that's what he's doing, you know. And as far as the movie goes, having a little bit of an inside track with Mr. Orr, that movie was really Hollywood. I know that he had to kind of keep his mouth shut about the fact that he did know how to play football. He didn't go stay with that family like some dumb kid off the streets that didn't know anything about sports. You know, Sandra Bullock's all in front of him like,
right.
Protect the quarterback. Yeah, that crap.
Sandra wasn't coaching him up.
Yeah. So, like with the Lenny Dykstra story, I can only imagine with, oh my gosh, baseball in the 80s and 90s. Like, are we just going to see like Jose Canseco in the other locker room putting a needle in his butt? You know, like, is this movie going to be?
He was on the Mitchell Report too. Dykstra was.
You know what I'm saying,
so
man?
you got painkillers, you got fraud, you got grand theft, you got steroids. It's got it all.
Oh my God!
Sign Disney up. Sounds like it's right, you know, in the same vein as all their other films.
Okay, so other than that, though, you know, this is going to bring up some questions. Gosh, I hate to be the brother that says it. Why not LT?
It would be rated NC-17.
You couldn't put the dialogue into a theater. It'd be like, you know, every other word that comes out of his mouth is either "get me more cocaine" or "I'm out of cocaine."
Take this ring to the pawn shop and get me more cocaine.
But LT, you guys are playing the Jets in like 4 hours. I'll be fine. Oh my gosh, that's a movie I would pay to see. This one here. Probably maybe the dollar theater, or I'll wait till it hits Netflix, you know, but I'm not going to be too excited about it just because his story was kind of played out on the Outside the Lines deal a few years ago where they showed him living in Wayne Gretzky's house.
I don't know, man. It's so bizarre. Like, I remember after he was got out of jail, he was starting to talk about how like he was beaten and abused by guards in prison.
Yeah.
This is Nails, you know, a bad dude back in the day. And it's like just absolutely a career down the drain.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people have said like the same attitude that let him be successful on the field, you know, like the ability to, when you make a mistake, forget about it, just focus on the positive stuff. Mm-hmm. That same attitude also made him a horrible businessman, a bad investor, you know, just taking money from one project to cover up, you know, a mistake in another project, just terrible stuff. So yeah. I don't know. It could be like the Wolf of Wall Street, but with some baseball in it. It could be good.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's going to be a good movie. I wonder how well it's going to be received because America, we're a funny place, man. We, you know, now the thing here is because our new national pastime is to build people up, tear them down, and build them back up again. You know, wouldn't it be amazing 5 years from now we're sitting here talking about how Lenny Dykstra just landed a deal with like MLB Network or something? Like, could you imagine the possibilities? Look at the people who bring you things on TV now and get on Google, get on Bing, whatever you do, and find out what happened to them 7 years ago, 10 years ago. Yeah. Ray Lewis, every morning while I'm eating my eggs on Sunday, I have to look at a guy that was a murderer, allegedly.
Allegedly, Bo. All right, so coming up, we're going to be talking about the biggest sore loser in sports so far this year, Steve Coburn, who was the owner of that California Chrome horse. Also, NBA talk, Wade's a flopper, nothing new there, and everybody hates LeBron. It's coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey, folks, thank you for listening to the Sean and Bo Show. Have you ever come up with a great idea for a t-shirt, but you didn't have the skills to make it a reality? Maybe you need a logo for your business, your blog, your website, your podcast. Well, we here at the Sean and Bo Show found some great designers. They're called Punstrosity Design. That's Punstrosity, like a monstrosity of a pun, a punstrosity. Anyway, these guys were really easy to work with. They took our suggestions in creating our cool new logo, and if you didn't see it, it's aliens sucking up a bunch of sports balls, beer, and Bigfoot into their alien ship. Real cool. These guys were great to work with. They took our suggestions, great communicators, and really cool, we paid them in Dogecoin. That's right, they accept cryptocurrencies. So again, if you thought of a cool t-shirt you'd like to get made, or you need a logo, can't recommend these guys enough. You can contact them directly, punstrosity@gmail.com. That's punstrosity@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show.
Now, what a sore loser. This might be the biggest sore loser in sports of the last few years. Professional Wolford Brimley impersonator and co-owner of California Chrome, Steve Coburn, got real upset after California Chrome failed to get the win in Belmont Stakes for the Triple Crown, and just immediately started whining.
You know what, Sean? I got to stop you, man. The whole time I'm watching the race, they're showing him there in his purple shirt. My wife's getting mad at me. My father-in-law's there at the house, and all I'm saying is, I need some diabetes testing supplies. I need some diabetes testing supplies, because he looks just like Wilford.
Really? That's not like by accident. You don't just wake up one day looking like Wilford Brimley with that mustache.
He must respect the man's look. He coined it, and it's worked for him. It's just like, this is who I'm going to be. I'm Wilford Brimley, the horse man.
So immediately following the race, he started whining. His point was that if you're going to run any of the Triple Crown races, you have to run them all. You know, he was saying it's not fair. It's cowardly that, there are some horses that just ran this last race and, were fresh, and that it puts, his horse at a tremendous disadvantage. Yeah. What a load of crap. I mean, look, the Triple Crown is hard to achieve. That's the reason why there hasn't been one since the late 70s, This shouldn't be an easy thing. And, obviously the guy was going to make a lot of money if he did get that. But, man, come on. Where was this opinion of yours before this third leg of the Triple Crown? Well, I didn't hear you talking about this until you lost.
Yeah, it definitely sore loser. And I think it also shed a bigger light on something that we, as people in the media, that everybody likes to talk about, sports people that are out there, we listen to on the airways. We all like our Dan Patrick, or multiple shows we may listen to. We hear every day, every week, we put these guys under microscopes, the LeBron James, the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Manning, whoever they may be. Yet if they slip up, we will just rake them over the coals, man. It is the worst thing. They're the worst human being on earth. And here's a guy who really only had to deal with his 5 minutes of fame, his 15 minutes, and he couldn't handle it. Losing it's not cool. I don't care if you just lost a Little League game or you just lost the Triple Crown. But at the end of the day, man, you can't be the guy on TV being a sore loser over a Triple Crown race, in which you just told me earlier while we were getting ready for the show, Secretariat and I forget the other two winners, they had to do the same thing. So this isn't new. It's not like they just said, oh, man, this California Chrome horse, I really don't like the purple it's wearing. Let's stack the field and make sure they can't cash in on this. So at the end of the day, he really is a big sore loser. He's a jackass, really.
This is a little hypocritical, but I just think it's hilarious that all of a sudden all these sports anchors are horse racing experts. Have you noticed that? Like, oh, there's the possibility of a Triple Crown. Let's bring in the analysts.
Yes.
I don't watch horse racing. I think, Bo, you catch an occasional race, but it's funny. You have a scandal, and all of a sudden everybody's an authority on the sport.
I watch it to gamble. The fact that you can watch horse racing from all over the world on a horse racing channel and gamble on it is amazing to me. That's what that's all about. But these guys that, on ESPN, NBC, well, NBC is the only one that has rights to act like experts because they actually do put time into the sport and they broadcast it. But the ESPN cracks me up, man. You will have a guy who was making me believe that he has the list for the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, breaking it down, telling me which one's going to be successful. And then we get a Triple Crown possibility. And this same guy is talking about mutters and horses that like to stride and get out front and run. I'm like, wait, when did you have time to pick this up? Last time I checked, you were breaking down film with Jaworski and Ken Dilfer, like what's going on, man? So yeah, it's a load of crap. It's a cash in by the networks too. It's not just Wilford Brimley trying to cash in on the horse. ESPN's cashing in, NBC Sports is cashing in. It's a big deal. Did you get a look at the trophy though? That's the only thing that I thought was cool. Like our generation, we haven't seen that trophy like that. Like, did you see how they brought it out? They brought it out and they have it there.
I didn't watch the race.
You didn't watch the race at all.
Racing.
They put that trophy out there, and that's one of the things that I seen. I was just like, that is a bad trophy. And it like you were getting to earlier, that's what makes it special. NBA Finals trophy, seen it. Lombardi, seen it. Heck, I seen Lombardi in Indiana. Anytime something's in Indiana, it's been overdone.
Well, what are you talking about? The reason he was whining was not because he didn't win the trophy. It's because he didn't win the money.
Yeah, it's the money, but it was, dude, that trophy in itself could be in a museum case next to the carcass of California Chrome in 2050, and people will still be walking through his farm paying $10 a ticket to check it out. Because that's America, man. Heck, I stopped off the side of the road in South Arizona to see a mummy. I don't even know if it was real. I gave some joker $5 to see this thing because I seen signs, and me and my buddies were just going to spring break. So we said, hey, they said it's only 10 miles off the highway. So we went. It was a body that was found back in the early 1900s in the desert of Arizona. The skin tissue, the DNA, the bone, and everything has been tested by Arizona State, ASU. You can look this up. It's crazy. And it's not human descent, the dude, human origins,
chupacabra,
yeah, that kind of deal. And it looks like a person, but this guy kept it. He never would sell it, and it was in a time when the government didn't come and steal things from you in the middle of the night. So it's sitting out in some farm in Arizona. You can go check it out and get you a tasty cake snack in the little food mart adjacent to it. It's the craziest thing. There's like a food mart and a gas station next to an alien's body in Arizona. I love this country. But at the end of the day, it's all about that show. And, he wanted to complete the show, man. Now he just has a horse that everybody's going to come see, and it's going to be the horse that almost won the Triple Crown. Oh, man, so close, but no cash this time, Wilford. So make sure you get that diabetes testing supplies ordered, buddy.
Now, a sport that we've actually been watching, the NBA, finals are going on right now, of course, and the first thing I thought of when the AC was out and LeBron was cramping up in game 1 is, where is our friend Stephen Babb? I know he lives there. Babb, did you have something to do with this, man?
Probably. I just want to know, was Babb out there passing out the fans? I hope he capitalized on that opportunity.
No, he was in the back taking a bat to the air conditioning unit is what he was doing.
Man, I always thought the conspiracy started right there is when the Spurs fans bust out. Because, I'm sorry, I haven't seen fans outside of a Southern Baptist church. People don't go into public with fans anymore. That's something that people did before air conditioning units, were everywhere. So the fact that, I would say, if 1 in every 3 people I looked at in the stands was going like this with a fan, and it wasn't a normal fan, Sean, it was a San Antonio Spurs fan. So were they giving them out? Did they have them for sale? What was that? Because, you've been to pro games before.
Good marketing. That's what that
is. Van Pelt, Bradley Van Pelt tried to do a little spoof gag type reel saying that anybody who thinks it was a conspiracy is crazy. And I'm thinking to myself, we're talking about Popovich. We're talking about the Spurs. I think they would do anything to win. Those guys are winners. And I don't think it's a deliberate, let's go turn off the AC. But, hey, maybe you turn it up to 78. Maybe just say, hey, let's kick it to where it turns up to 78 halfway through the first quarter. And there you go. You got your game 1.
So following LeBron cramping up, he came back, played big in game 2. And I think the funniest part of game 2, by the way, Bo, I don't know if you saw this. It was a play with Ginobili, and Dwayne Wade acted like he got absolutely hit in the face
Oh,
with a
yeah.
shovel,
Yeah.
went down like a sack of bricks, while the NBA decided that he didn't get touched. He flopped. So he just fined $5,000 today. His take on the matter, Wade's, that is, he said, quote, "He took a swipe and he hit me. It was a late call by the ref, but he called it."
5,000 to Dwayne Wade is the equivalent to someone giving me $5,000. Like literally, there's no math equation to tell you how little and how minuscule that amount of money is to a man that his career earnings are upwards of $90 million.
Oh, he won't even pay it. The team always
Yeah,
pays those fines
yeah.
anyway. You
So-
know, it's such a stupid. I mean, if you're gonna even carry out the charade that you're affecting him by fining him, at least make it a little bit more change than five.
Why do
large,
NFL
you know?
players get hit more than these guys? I'll never understand that. NBA fines are so weak compared to the NFL when we know those guys don't make near the amount of money. Does that even make sense to you that, you know, you're getting 5,000 out of D Wade and somebody's going to go across the middle and clip somebody in week 2 of the NFL? And heck, you'll think that somebody tried to assassinate a congressman or something, because the way we'll talk about it and the way Goodell will issue out the fines. You know, at the end of the day, though, man, back to the NBA Finals. So LeBron, as we talked about earlier, led all scorers. And this is something that I think you want to know the key to the finals. And what I watch, you know, being a Hoosier, being from Indiana, it's all about fundamentals, baby. You got to have the fundamentals in basketball. And the stat that I always pay attention to when it comes to these NBA playoff games, you know, obviously you have to play defense, can't turn the ball over. But you remember back in game 1 when Popovich was talking about how when the Spurs get to so many turnovers, we just lose.
Yeah.
And when you get upwards of 20 turnovers with San Antonio Spurs, they lose every time.
Yeah.
But they still won the game. Well, I was thinking it's not that. It's Bosh. Like, when I watch Chris Bosh, he gets all of his rebounds on the defensive end of the court because that's the only time he's in the paint. But on the offensive end of the court,
Just
he
stands in the corner, waits for the ball.
waits for the ball. And then he doesn't allow second chance points for guys like Chalmers and Wade and Ray Allen when LeBron's down, because you always notice the lead is gone or the lead diminishes when LeBron sits. And people just think, oh my God, LeBron's the greatest player in the world. No, there was a reason why the bad boys could still score points with Isaiah out, why Michael Jordan could go to the bench with the flu and he could let the other guys handle business, is because there were fundamentals to their game. I think we are really watching a group of gentlemen that have come together, the big three, and they're so good that they can erase these silly things. But at the end of the day, if I'm Popovich, I have it wrote right here in my notes. If you need me to email this to you, Pop, I got you, dog. I will take care of you, man. You need to get somebody to take Bosh out from getting those defensive rebounds, and you will kill him. Because at the end of the day, I was looking up these stats, man. This is sad. Duncan and Tiago Splitter have more rebounds than like the starters combined in average. Like, you can put the stats together 5 different ways and you still can't get their averages or totals to surpass what the Spurs 2 big guys do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the guys who lead the categories for rebounding, which is my main category, are LeBron and Wade. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that doesn't even make sense. You're paying him $17 million a year, I believe. Chris Bosh, I think, gets $17 or $20 million a year. He's a big guy, and he has less rebounds.
Yeah, he's never been like a brawler.
He doesn't have to be a brawler.
That's never been his game.
I just want 10 to, I would say 7 to 10, which he will get, but he gets them on the wrong end of the court. You need those second chance points, man. Without those second chance looks on the offensive end of the court, that's where the Heat suffer. If the Spurs can do it to them in game 3, they'll get another win. Just make sure LeBron either gets tired or you can get him away from the ball a couple times, which is hard to do because this is the X factor and this is what I'm forgetting about, and somebody would just kill me on it right now. So what are you going to do, Coach Greer? Are you going to guard LeBron with a big man because then he's just going to go around him and dunk on him all day? Or are you going to put a little man on him because he's just going to continue to rebound? So that's the X factor. That's why you can't prepare to stop his rebound.
And that's what makes him so good.
Exactly.
You can
That's what
cover
makes him
Tony
so
Parker,
good.
or you can cover, a big man. It doesn't matter.
I just wish they would do it early in the series. The Pacers, I watched them try to make adjustments. Seems like everybody goes in against LeBron already knowing that he leads in these categories, And they're going to try and, okay, we're going to play with him, let him do what he does, but we're going to not allow the other guys to beat us. You always hear that. When you play the Heat, don't allow the other guys to beat. Well, that doesn't work. Stop that guy from beating you. That guy is the one who always gets the wins. He went out with cramps in Crampgate, and they lost. It's that simple, people. And I wish somebody would blow away that stat that the Heat have of they've won every game after a loss in the playoffs for like 4 years now, isn't it? Something like that.
Something crazy.
That stat would be erased if somebody would just devote 2 nights to making sure LeBron doesn't kill him on the boards. You can't allow a guy to go for 35 points and still get 12 rebounds. That's just insane. You'd probably take away the 35 points if he only got 5. But no, nobody's going to do that, Sean. We're going to have to watch it again. Who are you going to pick? Game 3. What do you got on that one?
Probably the Heat.
You going to go with them?
Probably, yeah.
It is a tough one. I say it keeps pace with what it's doing. You get they're going to go back and forth. I just think these two teams are going to play one of those series. And
that's the way I thought it was going to be. I kind of expected Game 2 to be a Heat blowout. I didn't think it was going to be as close as it was. But, you look at the past series that the Spurs had, they were just absolutely inconsistent. A lot of teams have been in these NBA playoffs. It's been very strange. You've had a lot of series that have been like one team blows out the other, then the next game it's the complete opposite. So kind of hard to predict. I think going back to Miami, Heat win that game.
Well, either way, whatever happens, LeBron could score 100 points, donate $5 million to help burn victims, and cure cancer in Game 3, and he will still be one of the most hated players.
Seriously, I was trying to think about this earlier. In the history of sports, has there ever been somebody as good, as talented as LeBron, and as despised? It's usually it's not the marquee talent that gets that kind of hate. You got to do something bad. You got to have a dogfighting ring. You got to, to get that kind of hatred from people, it's got to be something more serious than this guy, had a stupid way of announcing where he was going to play, and he got together with some of his buddies to win championships. It's like, I didn't like the decision, but I don't hate LeBron.
I've heard all the arguments. The most recent one that surfaced is that people don't like the fact that he didn't have to do it by himself. They say, but see, this is what I'm going to get at here. They say that, Jordan was by himself, Isaiah Thomas was by himself, but that's such a lie. No. And it's the biggest slap in the face to the other guys on the team, because Lambeer to the McHales of the world.
It reminds me of this thing people say where like San Antonio built their team. And Miami bought their team.
That's
Last
so crazy.
time I checked, they're not paying Tim Duncan in Subway sandwiches. They are cutting the man a check.
He is getting
Every
paid.
sports team on the professional level is bought.
Didn't you think of them as kind of like one of the first big threes with Ginobili, Parker?
Quieter version,
yeah. And the actual real big three, I think, was Kevin Garnett. With
the old Celtics.
The Celtics. So. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people who just like to have hate in their heart.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's instead of a general manager putting together a team of all-stars, it's the fact that people don't like that LeBron took it upon himself, on whatever yacht they were sitting on during the summer break. He said, hey, you guys want to win? Let's all get together, Maybe that's why people hate him so much. I don't quite get it.
It's the employees pulling the strings. It's always been like that in this country. That's why half of us like unions, the other half of us don't. That's why half of us like social action, the other half of us don't. Some people feel, I did all this on my own, which that group includes people that were just born into money. Somehow, if you're born into money, you did it all on your own. And then there's, the other group of people that are like, I would have never, received this job with ESPN if so-and-so didn't take me under their wing and allow me to pick up their garbage in the parking lot for a year. The people who worked their way up and realized you needed a handout, or hand down and not a hand out. That's my favorite term about that. But it's just one of those things, Sean, where the decision, it sparked racism. We know that. Colin Cowherd was one of the most notable national talk hosts that was telling, people every day, I receive emails. A good percentage of my emails are racist. It's not about LeBron's decision. It's more about LeBron as a person and as an African American, you know. So when I always remember that, I'm like, man, these people that they're talking about on Twitter, on the message boards, I was like, it could be the same people that were sending the racist emails about LeBron and the decision.
Probably are.
Because this guy raised over $3 million. To date, it's over $3 million for Boys and Girls Club after the decision. It was an initial payment, and then Nike continues to pay based on something else that he does. Well, tell me, since all this endorsement stuff's happened, the last guy I remember doing anything like this was Reggie Bush after Katrina. He got a deal with Subway to rebuild a lot of the high school sports and athletic stadiums.
Yeah.
And it's one of those deals where you got to say, hey, are we going to really start beating up people in the media in the news with money for doing good things? Because when we get to that point as a society, somebody's got to pull the plug. I remember hearing that the NSA has a device that can shut off all internet and all TV. Go ahead. Let them do it, man.
All right, coming up next, we're going to go around the NFL. Johnny Baseball. Yeah, somebody drafted him. We'll talk about that. Plus, Bo will give us an update on Michael Sam's progress trying to make an NFL roster, and quite possibly the most luxurious way to watch an NFL game. It's coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to the Sean and Bo Show. We appreciate you listening, but we need your help. Please tell a friend, a coworker, maybe play it in the car on the way to work, show it to somebody on your lunch break. But we need more people to check out the show, and you can help us by subscribing to the show on iTunes. Also, check out past episodes on our site, seanandboshow.podomatic.com. And just tell somebody. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question about the show, maybe what it was like playing college football, you have a question for Bo, or just any other inquiries, shoot us an email, seanandboshow@gmail.com. Back to the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show. Before we get on to the NFL, I got to apologize again if this sounds weird. Our equipment kind of had a weird malfunction, was picking up some radio station signals, so I'm recording a different way. I can't hear myself. It's driving me nuts. I'm just trying to contain my AV nerdery because we have a show to do, Bo. We can't be worried about this.
Hey, the show must go on, man. I was watching a Chris Rock interview where he talked about his first stand-up on the Joan Rivers show, and her husband shot himself in the head and died, and she still did the show. So technical difficulties, tsunami, I don't care if the nuclear bombs go off in those mountains over to my right, we're going to be here broadcasting this show.
But I'll be crawling around this room on my hands and knees, rearranging wires. I'll get this figured out by next week. But, Bo, we know Johnny Football, but now we might know Johnny Baseball.
Johnny Baseball pulls yet another one of the biggest swag/hustle moves of the century. I don't know how this kid does it, but he must have been born with not only a silver spoon in hand, he must have had like a gold staff or something. He's got like magic powers. I started calling him Thor. My man was sitting somewhere. He's doing the baseball pitch over the weekend. He threw out the first pitch and finds out.
No, I didn't get to do it. Rain delay.
Oh, the rain delay. Okay.
I didn't even get to.
Oh my gosh. Well, either way, he still gets drafted by the San Diego Padres. Yes, San Diego Padres fans, you still suck.
No, this is actually, a lot of people don't understand because, well, the baseball draft isn't really covered by ESPN or the sports media in nearly the same way.
800 picks, I believe, 800 plus picks.
Yeah, it's so long and drawn out. This is actually a fairly common thing.
Yes,
quarterbacks every single year will get drafted by some team, and it's not like Russell Wilson was drafted by, was it the Rangers?
I want to say it was, or the Nationals. I don't know.
So he didn't participate in their training camp, but he attended.
Yeah.
It's just a publicity grab. It's all it is.
Well, the thing that really struck me, though, is about the publicity. The reason this one just screams publicity is shortly thereafter, the CEO and president goes on Twitter and he puts best athlete on the board. There was a lot of baseball analysts that loved that one because technically Johnny Baseball has never played baseball at Texas A&M. No, he played it in high school.
Yeah.
But at Texas A&M, he's been on the roster for 2 years and he's never even strapped up. So baseball, did you play baseball when you were younger?
Little League, yeah.
Yeah. The minute you stop playing it, your skills diminish horribly. You need to work on it. So to think that he's going to go, I don't care if it's AA, AAA, a farm league, those boys can play some baseball. Now, what I thought was a shot, at the other players is if you're some high school kid out there, which I've seen this process, they go to the fields, the high school fields, they stand over there with their guns, see how fast you throw, they time how fast you run the bases, and then they talk to the parents and the coaches. So there was some Padre scout that's probably been blowing up this high school kid, and then he's sitting there like, oh, yeah, this will probably be my pick, Dad.
Yeah, this is my year.
Yeah, this is it. I'm going to go in the 8th round. We may go to college still, but either way, we have the opportunity. And here comes Johnny Baseball, stealing someone's thunder after he was already picked up by the Browns, and he's going to get his money.
I wish it was my joke. I wish I could claim it as my own. But the funniest thing I heard about this whole Johnny Baseball story was yeah, he throws really well, but he seems to run around the mound a lot before he throws. What's that about?
He's the first scrambling pitcher.
Okay, now last week we talked about maybe the pimpest way to host your NFL fantasy draft.
Arrowhead, yeah.
But this week we have what might be the pimpest way to actually watch an NFL game. Now forget the action on the field. We're talking about the Jaguars, who have won 11 games in the last 3 years. But what they have gone ahead and done was they took out, 9,500 seats. 9,500 seats
my gosh.
in the north end zone area to make room for a 2-level party deck that features 2 pools and 16 private cabanas, complete with, quote, plush furniture. Okay, now if you'd like to get in on this sweet deal and actually watch NFL action in a pool, it'll cost you $12,500 a game to rent one of these cabanas. That'll get you 50 tickets, and Bo and I are a big fan of this. All you can eat and drink while you're sitting poolside. Now, what I'm really wondering about is this just a total desperation move by the Jaguars to make people excited to go watch a Jacksonville game? Because the other thing that they're doing is, and this is the first, they'll be showing a constant stream of the NFL Red Zone channel in the 4 displays in the end zones during the game.
What?
So you can be sitting there in your pool watching the NFL Red Zone channel, completely oblivious from the Jaguars actually playing right in front of you. But all you can eat and drink, Bo. How about that?
That's one of those deals where you are starting to see what they've been telling us about after the creation of fantasy football is that it will become bigger than the game. Other things outside of the game will become bigger than what's actually going on in the field. And no, it wouldn't come from, organizations like the Pittsburgh Steelers, New England Patriots, New York Giants, etc. It had to come from Jacksonville. I'm sitting here on my phone right now because I know Florida has a ton of the poorest cities in the United States.
Yeah.
So, I was sitting there trying to do the math, 9,500 seats, $100 a ticket, and then the fact that they're going to boast the price for what you're going to replace in there in a city where most of the people have been out of work before 2008.
Yeah, but they weren't selling out the stadium beforehand.
No.
It's not like you make money from empty seats. If you're not filling those 9,500 seats, you might as well do something like this.
So, well, here's the thing. It's so American, Sean. Good and darn well, buddy, there are going to be people maxing out credit cards. They're going to find a way to get in that pool, buddy. They're going to be sitting in that pool. There's going to be people out there talking about, hey, did the food stamps come in? Oh, can we get some shade over here? Because that sun is really hot. And as far as I'm concerned, I really don't want to see Jacksonville right now because we're losing. Can I get another one of those margaritas? It is going to be hilarious.
You know what's going to happen, though? You know what's going to happen?
What?
Mark my words on this. I guarantee it. I'll bet you money. Wardrobe malfunctions on TV.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you have cameras all over the place. You're in Florida. You're going to have women in bikinis drinking unlimited alcohol.
Gosh, not to mention, stand your ground.
Oh, it's going to happen.
The stand your ground law is going to take place in the Jacksonville Stadium.
I'm telling you, man, there will be boobs on TV during a Jacksonville Jaguar game.
We're sitting here talking about what we're going to do during the football season. Obviously, if we're going to talk football, we want to get out and see some games. I definitely believe in the next couple of years, Jacksonville is on our list. For any other reason, it's other than football. It has nothing to do with football, but everything to do with seeing a possible wardrobe malfunction while at a game. That would be awesome. I'm with you on that.
Now, we were following earlier when the NFL draft was going on. We talked about Michael Sam, the first openly gay collegiate football player getting drafted. And we were speculating on, well, that's all well and good, but will he actually make the roster? Is he going to be good enough to compete with the other, the big depth that they have at that position? They got 2 good starters already. And, Bo, you've got an update on what's happening with Michael Sam.
Yeah, I was really pleased to see that the integration of Michael Sam, his journey into the NFL is going smooth. It was the quote that I read about Michael Sam. He said, "They respect me like a human being." And, it's one of those deals that kind of sends chills up your body, down your spine, because before this all went down, when people would ask me, naturally I played college football, when I'm sitting around drinking a beer, people bring things up like this. Well, could you ever be in a locker room with a gay player? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Football players, believe it or not, we are some of the most sensitive and emotional people you'll ever find. That's
Lies.
that's probably, I've always said this, the same guy that is going to go run into that pile head first is the same emotional guy that'll be crying when you hand him a trophy or something, or the day he has to retire, because it takes a very emotional person to psych yourself up to do those kind of things. So they accepted Michael Sam, and it's not how you would think. One of the things I seen, it was Willie Hayes, who was actually on the injured list that's helping Michael Sam move up. He's second on the depth chart right now.
Yeah.
And
Great
Willie
player.
Hayes was saying they put him on the spot one of the first days in the locker room. They get all the rookies and they make them do silly things. His was he had to tell a joke. All right, Michael, everybody's in here. Lock the door. You got to make us laugh. We're not leaving here till you make us laugh. The report was he had people falling out of their chairs. Like, people were just beside themselves at how funny this guy was. And I just thought, hey, how many times has a person went into a situation where we knew what they had to hide, whether it be gay or, they have, political views, they live whatever type of alternative lifestyle, and they never get that chance. But because of how the culture in the football locker rooms work, where if you're a rookie, you have to prove yourself, not only on the field. We want to know if you have a sense of humor. We want to know if you can sing. Can you beatbox? Can you rap? Can you freestyle dance? Whatever you can do, you better do it in the locker room. Like, people don't know this. We had dancing competitions. Remember when the movies, I'd never seen the movies, but oh gosh, where the kids would go and they would dance to each other, the schools, like the cheerleaders would go and compete in these dance competitions.
Like the break dancing.
Yeah, all that stuff. So that was real
You
big.
never watched those movies.
No,
Don't you
I
lie to
never
these
watched
people,
them.
Bo.
And so we started this silly thing because there's a few guys on the team that actually could dance. So they would always be showing us up. So we created these teams. And the teams, everybody had one good dancer, and then he had to make up for all the other guys. You could challenge the other teams at any time on campus, in a bar, in a restaurant, on the plane. They had to break dance, and people would judge. And you can only imagine how a bunch of 6'5", 320-pound guys could get a bunch of people to judge a dancing contest. We made this stuff happen. So I hear these stories about this locker room, and it brings back those feelings I had when I was sharing those moments with those other young men, first time away from home. You're in a new situation. Yes, you're looking for family and friends. And, oh, by the way, Michael Sam's not just any other player. He was the co-SEC Defensive Player of the Year. You may know this guy. I think his name's Jadeveon Clowney, to get that right.
Jadeveon.
I don't want his father to fly through the window and knock me out.
Mess up our equipment more than it already is.
They could pay for it, though, now. They got that money. But, Jadeveon Clowney was the Defensive Player of the Year in the SEC. We all know what happened. He didn't quite perform. You can speculate and say whatever was going on. Michael Sam was one of those defensive MVPs in the SEC, along with another first-rounder you might know, Mr. C.J. Mosley, first-round pick by the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, I heard people try to put this out there like this was some sort of deal that was cooked up by the Rams to make money. even if it was, they still got an SEC Player of the Year. Last time I checked, Sean, that's a pretty good football league.
And it's not just the fact that he's making people laugh in the locker room.
Yeah.
He's working his tail off.
He's busted.
Where you were saying he actually moved up on the depth chart now?
Second. Man, could you imagine?
So as of now, he'd make the team, yeah?
Yeah, he'd make the team. And with Willie Hayes nursing his injury, it's a possibility come preseason football, we're going to be watching Mr. Sam, after they take the starters out there real quick. And then you got Robert Quinn and Jake Long. Robert Quinn was the one we couldn't think of that led in sacks, one of the leaders in the NFL. I think something interesting could happen because, you got Quinn and Long, who everybody knows is a big threat. Then all of a sudden you have this hybrid guy that can play like an outside linebacker and an end. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Sam makes a splash because in the NFL, after you make that big year, watch Quinn's sacks just disappear because they'll double team him.
Well, all right, that's going to do it for the show this week. And don't forget, you heard it here first, set your DVR to those Jacksonville Jaguar games. You don't have to watch them. You don't have to watch them, but there might be something good in there in the background. Tip your pizza man.